Hello, long time. I've been very, very busy, quite an eventful year of traveling and all that fun stuff. But today I'm back and thought I would show you how I made this render of the Nivea. Yeah, so before we start, if you want to know what I've been up to for the past few months and the things I've been working on, I've actually put together a free training for you guys in the link description below on how to master your skill set and monetize it in 2020. So if you want to learn how to do that, click the link in the description below to access your free training. And okay, let's get started. And yeah, hopefully you learn a few things. So we're going to be recreating this scene pretty much from scratch. The only thing that will be different is I've actually got the logos and stuff, so I won't be remaking that part. But other than that, we'll be creating the whole scene ourselves. So start by doing some cylinders. Boom, boom. And ideally you actually go and measure these Nivea cups. And I'll assume it's around 5 centimeters in radius. So we'll say 5 centimeters in diameter. So it's 2.5 in radius. And then we can just eyeball it. So the great thing about this geometry is it's very easy to model out. It's literally just like a cylinder cut in half. So what we're going to do is we're going to go add in a subdivision surface modifier. We'll go and optimize it just so we can get all these things like that and editable. Then we'll have to remove these lines here. And then we're just going to start to help sharpen these edges here. So we're going to go and add in some loops. So here we can see the wireframe of what the actual source geometry is like. Add in loops there. Add in loops there as well. And then if you want, you can just reuse it on the bottom because the bottom is the same as the top. It's very symmetrical. And then I'm just going to increase this to 3 just so that we have some nice, clear, pristine geometry. And just looking at the reference, we can even start to cut this thing in half now. So what we can do is we can just add in a loop in the middle, so 50%. And then we can remove the top and bottom from each other. So if we go there and we go fill for the bottom, then we go mesh, or if I just type in here split, because I fucking don't know where things are anymore. And we go and delete that. And then we look at this. So in here, when I'm looking at these two, the top and the bottom half are a little bit separate from each other. So we're just going to go here and select these lines and just push it up like so. Now I'm seeing here there's like a little bit of a circular lip that's going on there. And there's different ways we can go about doing that. But I think the easiest might be to do this. So if we go and extrude, we just go 0. We just go scale it out. So, or instead of even doing that, we can just go and add in a torus. Because these things are so small and like no one's gonna really care like how detailed you are or how you went about modeling your thing, as long as it looks good. So okay, let's zoom out so we can see what's going on here. You need to make this thing smaller. Boom. You need to have some sort of radius, make it smaller again, make it smaller on the radius, smaller, a little bit bigger. So now we can go in increments, 2.5, around there. So if we go and bring it out, smooth this. Smooth that. Let's group these things so that they're both smooth together. Like that. Now we can start to refine this a little bit. So here we can increase the pipe segments. Oh, wrong one. Increase it there. Make it smoother, so maybe 100, just to make it super smooth. And then make this even smaller. And just bring it in a little bit. 4, 5. Somewhere around there. Then we can find out where this line is, like so. Like that. And then we can just bring this torus up to wherever that line will be. And we'll get more of a clear definition of where that is when we start to add materials and stuff. But for now, I think it all looks good. And I'm noticing there's a little bit of an indent here. So that's what we need to start to create for this thing. And again, I could just take this whole thing and import it, but kind of want to show you guys how I went about making this thing. So one thing I'm noticing is I think this bottom half here is a little bit too long at the bottom. So this is a tricky thing when eyeballing things. You just need to keep adjusting, but you can go pretty far with that. And then just to add in the detail, we'll solo this part and then do what we did and add in that lip. So we go and turn off our subdivision surface here. We go and extrude. Pretty much all we do when modeling a lot of stuff is just a bunch of extrusions and moving points and lines around. There's different ways of going about doing it, and there's like technically better ways of doing it, like right and wrong in a technical sense. But for the most part, as long as in the end you get something that looks good for the client, that's all that's really important. Get a lot of criticism when it comes to my modeling and stuff, but in my mindset, it's more so like, hey, as long as it looks good for the client, then it looks good to me, as opposed to what's like technically right with your modeling. So as long as you can go about your own way of doing this, and if you go about doing it your own way and it looks good in the end, and it all functions correctly depending on what you're doing, if you're animating and all that stuff, then everything is good. So turn off the soloing. Boom. And I think that's close enough. So that's close enough for now. And then we'll just start to adjust when we get our final rendering and stuff going. So we can go ahead and group all of this together. Boom. And we can call this Nivea Octane. Okay. You always want to make sure to save your things. So I'm going to go and save it to Nivea Octane. Sweet. And then all we're going to do from here is start to develop our scene's, what's it called? Our scene's composition. So we can go add in a little floor, like so. And then we can go and add a famous pen modifier that I love doing. Do this every single time, or most of the time, let's say that. Then we can just try and orientate ourselves, because I'm really confused at where we're at. So this is where we're at. Then we're going to go and bend this thing 90 degrees, like so, 90 degrees here. And then the trick here is we want to bring, not there, we want to bring it in here, like so. Cool. Bring that back. Now you can see how small our scale is, so we're going to go and bring this up and just give it some rotation, just so we can start to set up our camera composition and then also the rest of our scene scale and stuff like that. So camera, we'll go 90, 0, 0, 0. Bring it back. Bring it down. Like so. And you can start to see we're kind of getting to what we want here. So here I'm going to go and make it like a 80 millimeter, just because I love these. And I think I'll even point it up a little bit, go down, because here, one good way of getting better renders is just studying other people's stuff. So here you kind of want to look at where the camera angle is, like how far to the floor it is, which direction it's pointing, how compressed is the lens, all sorts of stuff like that, and you'll start to get an idea of how other people do their stuff. And you can just go and implement in that in your own. So boom. Then we're going to go here and add a protection tag. What did I just do? Can I undo that? No, I can't. So here we're going to go and add a protection tag. Seems like I hit a key that's messed up our plane here. So we're going to need to go and fix that. So we need to make it there and then just lock it again. Cool. Okay. And now we can start to try to get a little bit of composition going. So we'll go and make an instance of this for now. We'll probably go and change that later, but we're just going to try here. I'm just going to match the same composition just so I can show you how this previous one was made rather than trying to make something new. Rotate it here, rotate it here, like that. Now you can start to see a little bit of differences in terms of the proportion. So here this one looks like it's a little bit longer than this one, so we can always go and adjust that. And yeah, just go here. We select not that one, this one here. We can move it across this axis, and here you can see it's touching the ground. So we also want to just imitate these things, touching the ground here. Boom. And then this one is kind of rotated this way, but then it's facing, obviously has an open lid, and it's kind of like here and then a little bit back, because I'm starting to remember how the scene was structured now, like that. Something like so. Okay. So now we can start to play around with just maybe making this thing a little less long on the bottom. And here, if you want, you can also, because this thing tends to get distracting for me sometimes, so I'll just turn off the cone there. So this is our floor. When you have a very complicated scene, it's good to name things just in case, otherwise you'll start to get confused at where things are at. But in this situation, it's not a big deal. So here, I'm going to go and select I'm just going to hide the floor so the camera's not weird. Select these faces. God. Where are we? We're upside down. Okay. Select those faces. Then we go select full selection, and then I'm just going to bring these faces up. So we also want to make sure that our axis is facing the right way. Otherwise, it's going to do that when we want it to do that. Cool. So now here I can go back, take a look at the proportions. Does everything look right? Now it's not going to be perfect, and you can obviously spend as much time as you want trying to get it to match the real thing. But yeah, I'm also noticing this bottom half is a little bit thinner than the top. So again, just trying to make this thing match the real world reference. The more it matches the real world reference, the better it's going to look, because people's eyes aren't going to be a little bit confused because it looks different. So we're just going to go and select that as well, and we're just going to make it a little thinner. So this is what a lot of the time, at least for me, is spent doing, is just matching those little inconsistencies and those little things that make it more realistic. And yeah, so those little detail-oriented things that really push it to the next level, as opposed to making it look off. So yeah, let's go and do this. So let's make a copy. We're gonna reset the axis here. So PSR, boom. Then we're gonna turn this one off, because we're gonna go and open the lid for this one. So in order to open the lid, we're going to add in there's multiple ways of doing this. I'm just trying to figure out what the best way is. So we can duplicate this. We can go to Mesh, Axis, and then just find out where this endpoint is for this object. So, this is an easy way of doing it, sorry. So if we undo that, apologies for that, we'll just go duplicate this. We'll make sure that it's just rotated and stuff the right way, like that, and then we'll do what we just did here. So here I'll go and smooth this out, make it 3, boom, collapse it all into 1. Then we'll just find out which direction we want this thing to go. Let's go this way, and then let's also put it at the bottom. So now now the axis point is on the hinge here. So what we can do to get it back here, I don't really think about this. How far is this thing rotated? Let's see. Yeah, this thing is rotated. That much degrees. Oh, this is taking too much time out of the tutorial, so I apologize for that. And then we'll just manually move it here, because I don't want to spend too much time trying to be pixel perfect with this thing when it's not that valuable to you guys. So now we've got the rotation point. We can just go add in a null. That's all we wanted to do, really. And then this null will be the rotation for our hinge. So boom, like that. Fuck, and that took way too long. So here's a hinge or a rotation. Here's our top. We also want to put our torus in there, just so that this thing rotates with the top. And there's our bottom. Cool. So now I can rotate this pretty much as much as we want to. And then we also want to fill in this, because here we can see we've got this thing here, so we want to fill that in. And we're going to duplicate this bottom piece. And then we'll turn off the smoothing. And then I think what we'll do, just for the bottom, is we'll remove this line. We'll push this one down a little bit. And then we'll just close this hole. So one way of doing that I like doing is you just go extrude, make it 0. You make 0, 0, boom. Now your hole's closed. So you just want to make sure you optimize it so that all these points in the middle connect together. Then everything else, so yeah, pretty much everything else selected, just delete that. Okay, now if we smooth it, here we've got our little thing here. So here it's sticking out a bit on the sides. If you don't want that, you can obviously make it smaller and stuff. But I'm going to try and not spend too much time being detail orientated, because I tend to be like that. Okay, so now if we look at our composition and stuff, we should have something very similar. So there's our floor, and I went and open Octane, but we don't actually have any lights and stuff in yet. But yeah, things look pretty close enough. Rotate this way. Boom. So like so. And then here I think I'll just go 0.1, 0.1. 1, 1. Cool. So I think now we can start to add in things like lights and stuff, and then we can start to correct after that, because here I'm trying to be like really close in terms of the composition and the camera angles and stuff like that, but I guess it doesn't have to be as close as I want it to be right now. Now, one thing I'm noticing is just these things aren't centered in general, so we're just gonna take these and center them more. Like so. Cool. And then we can start to begin with our materials and stuff. So first thing I'll do is just throw in a generic HDRI, just so we can start setting up like materials and logos and things like that. So if I go here, and I'll go into view settings, make this 100 opacity, boom. Then I can just go and rotate this light like so. Just so we can get some sort of light going in here. And then we'll start to develop materials. So first material will be this one. And this will be our Nivea. So this will be our blue thing. So here we can go blue like that. And again, spend time trying to match these things with the real thing. I'm pretty sure I went into Photoshop and actually swapped this thing. So pretty sure I can do that here. Swap these colors like that. And then just add in some of that. Okay. Okay, and I'm already noticing that this top piece here is a little not sharp enough because of that, because of this like reflection bending off the side here. But for our torus, this needs to be metal. So here we'll go and add in this, and just a quick way of doing metals is just doing that, and then also just giving it a little bit of roughness. Boom, we've got our metal going, and yeah, just apply the same thing to the top. So boom, boom. There's our torus, done. So, and sweet. And then where is our, so there's our bottom. What happened to our little thing that we added in? Okay, so I must have deleted this flat piece here. So we'll call this cream along the way. That tends to happen during tutorials when trying to do two things at once. Kind of get distracted and things happen. So just added that in again. And then for our creme, we'll just add in this white material for now. Just give it a little bit of roughness. Boom. Like so. So now we can start to develop some lighting and stuff like that, and then we'll just tweak other things after that. If you want to do your logo now, we can also add that in. So we'll add in a diffuse material. We'll find in here, like so. Boom, apply that, and then we'll just go find our logo. So here, see for the Octane image texture, and then find out where this logo is. Boom, so we got our logo there. And here I'm just going to go flat. And then select this view here. Select that. Turn this off. And then just make sure that this thing is the right size. So I'm just reducing it down because I know scene scale is quite small. And then just rotating it the right way as well. So 90 degrees, like so. And yeah, I can't tell if this thing is upside down. I think it is. So we're just going to rotate it 180 degrees this way. And then for here, you can just keep making it smaller and smaller until it's the right size. So 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 2, 2, 2. I mean, there's good enough. Depends on how perfect you want to get. Smooth that out again. So now we've got our logo placement down. We can go copy this. So this will be, so if we go and now remove this, this will be just our logo color, which is basically just white. Then we can go add in a mix material, replace where this white material is. We can go paste back in our logo placement. And then, I don't know if so we'll name this text color, just so that we know what our materials are. So text color, put that on the top, and then our body, which will be at the bottom. So this will be our body. Boom. And then here, you can see it updating the live view, but here we'll just go and invert it, and now it's facing the right way. And there you got your logo. So now you can obviously scale it up and down and stuff depending on how big you want it to be. And I like using flat because it's so easy to just move things around, like instead of yeah, it's just easy to move your textures around and stuff. It's very useful. So now for our lighting, what shall we do? So for our lights, I'm just going to angle this way a little bit. Oop, wrong thing. Angle this a little bit. And then bring this down slightly. So, cool. We'll add in a blue background, so like that. Make it blue as well. Desaturate a little bit, and I think we're good to go. So first we'll go and add in an Ies Light, which will be our background spotlight here. So if I go and in here, just removing all the visibility, and then just add in some sort of Ies Light. So if I go to my lights again, and I'll just pick an Ies Light in here, like so, rotate it 90 degrees, up, and rotate it this way. Now here you can see we've got this big square looking thing. So we're going to go and make this a disc shape. And then this thing's also really massive, so we'll just make it a lot smaller. And here you can see we've got our spotlight going for our background and stuff like that. Boom. Boom. Like so. And now you can start to see how things are starting to develop now. For the ripples on the floor, I'll show you how I did that. So we'll go and hide everything, and we'll just create a new plane here. So this will be our floor ripples. And I had to do this on a separate plane just because it was a lot easier. So boom, this will be our ripples. Now all you do is you go and add in a Octane material. You can go flat or cubic. I'll just go cubic just because it's a little bit easier. Fit to object. And then here you go and let's do layer. We'll go and do a shader. So here we can go and do a gradient like that. We'll make this gradient circular. And yeah, we'll just go and double knots. And then here we want to, I think what we want to do is get rid of this one. Make this black. And depending on how perfect you want to be, we can make it like that. Double knots, see how this looks. So boom. So I think what we want to do is that. So here we'll go 66, 33. Then if we double knots. Okay, let's undo that. Let's see what we can do about this. Let's say double knots, just remove the middle one, double knots, remove the middle one, double knots, remove the middle one, just to make life easier, and double knots. And then this middle one's probably so unseeable at this point. Then here we can go another shader. We go gradient as well, circular, and might want to invert the gradient here. And then yeah, so here we'll go and bring this in. So this will be our mask. Multiply. Boom. And then here we go copy, clear, and then paste in our displacement. So now you can start to see what's going on here. So make this a little bit more defined on that aspect. Make this a lot smaller because our scale is quite small. 0.3, 0.1. Boom. Now you might start to see artifacts and stuff. So in this case, I don't seem to be seeing it, but one option as well is you go and increase your C4D shaders here. So I'll go and increase that just in case. Boom. That's also one way of increasing resolution if you don't see the resolution going up. So that's how we did that. Just add back in this floor here. And then of course you can just go and copy this color. So 60, 76. 76, and then just make it a glossy material. And then you'll have your ripples on the floor. So if it's not showing, you just need to increase this like that. Yo, my voice. Like that. And then maybe the camera angle, just adjust it. So this is our ripples. And then 0.3. Yeah, I can feel like this thing is going to hang soon. 0.1. Boom. And you can see how the ripples will just form. And then, of course, if you want some ripples like here, the middles more ripples are stronger, you just adjust this mask here. Or you can even go and adjust the individual ripples and make them stronger, weaker, but that's a little bit longer process, and I don't necessarily recommend that. So here we can even go and just adjust the floor size, make it smaller. And if you want in Photoshop, you can go and edit that out, because here you can see a little bit of this thing going on here, and I'm not sure why that is. So the color here of this floor, so this is our floor. I must have got the color wrong. So 40, 95. 40, 95. Now they should blend in correctly. Cool. Here we go. So you can see we can adjust the size of our actual ripples and stuff like that by adjusting the floor that way. And yeah, so maybe composition like that. Now, in terms of actual lights, here you can see we've got our background light going, just kind of like here. And maybe what we'll want to do is make our floor less, or more bendy, shall I say. So for our floor, we can go and adjust that more. So here we're adding in some more resolution, maybe 50 on that side. And then for our bend, maybe make it a little bit more like that. So we can even move our bend back. So, boom. And now you can start to see how we can start to make some magic happen. So let's see what the best way of angling this thing is. This is one cool way of having it. And then yeah, for your basic lighting, you don't need HDRI Studio. I know I was using that a lot in the past, but I've actually found ways of just using normal area lights and still getting the same kind of good effect. Now I could spend a lot of time trying to tweak these ripples, so just to save time for the tutorial, I'm not going to do that. But what I'll do is just start to begin a little bit of lighting, and we'll just use some normal area lights. Because that's actually I found it to be easier to use this these days, to be honest, because HDR Light Studio is crashing, and every time I save it, like, it'll close in Octane and all sorts of stuff like that, which is annoying. But yeah, rotate this 90 degrees, and then I think we'll just take this out, boom, create a new null, just so that when I rotate it this way, it's minus 40, and then if I want to rotate it the other way, it's plus 40. So I like to have longer lights, so I'll maybe make this 1000, and then maybe a thinner light, so like 50. then we can just see what that looks like. So one option is excluding these lights from the background, just so you have more control. So if we go here, create a light pass ID of 2, here, say we don't want 2, so number 2 is off for the backgrounds. Now we have more control, and we need to apply this to our ripples as well. So boom, now we have more controlled lighting on our scene here. And yeah, and I didn't actually go and apply this on the top here. Now we've got our top. Rotate it. Rotate it 90 degrees. Boom. And yeah, so now if I start, okay, let's go and add in another light on the other side. So instead of -70, it's 70. Now I can start actually tweaking and matching the original scene more, because here obviously I spent a lot of time kind of looking at the real thing and matching the saturation and colors and stuff like that, just so it's more grounded in reality and compared to the real thing, to make it more photorealistic. But here, so here I also just applied the same ripples there as I did there, so it's the same process. But for the ripples, a little bit too big, so I'll probably go 0.5. Zero 0.4, 0.2, like that. And the colors of this is a bit off as well. So the body is maybe it's a little too bright. So maybe drop this down to 65. This is should be more towards a blue. Yep, opposite direction, more towards a purple. Less saturation, so we desaturate it. And then here, this is pretty much all the tweaking we do. Just keep tweaking, tweaking, tweaking. Desaturate, maybe it's a bit too purple, go a bit more towards the blue. It's a little too desaturated, maybe saturate a little bit more. Maybe a bit more saturation, and here, yeah, you could tweak like this for an hour until you get it to look more like the real thing. And that's pretty much what I did, but I don't know how much of this tutorial I really want to spend doing that. Now for the floor, I'm going to make the sides smaller. Oh, that's the wrong one. Make the sides smaller, just so that here it's ideal to get these lights to reflect more, and if your sides are very wide, it's actually going to block a lot of the lighting, which is a bit of an issue. And yeah, I think everything, for the most part, it looks the same. It's just color tweaking, which could take a while to do. But I'll also show you how I did in HDR Light Studio, because HDR Light Studio, to be honest, the lights are... So here, firstly, background, I've got like this kind of white spotlight, and all I did was just duplicate it, make this smaller, and then make the white one brighter, 500, 1000, like that. And yeah, again, if you want these things to be rotated more, let me just go and add in a protection tag, which never seemed to be added, just so that this camera is not moved around. And then again, if you want to move this thing, you can just go and move it down, and now it's more centered. And here you can see, like, if you spend like a bit of time tweaking this, you'll start to develop this. Now, I'll show you how I did the lighting in HDR Light Studio, because to be honest, the lights in HDR Light Studio do just come out a little bit better. I could get the same look, but I don't know how much time that would take doing with this thing. And so here you can see we get these lights, but you see how bright they are. I mean, again, you could make it maybe wider. So let's say 200, and then just reduce the brightness, like by a lot. But then you kind of need to just balance it to the point where it doesn't look blown out, but it's also adding enough light. So you might want to add in some kind of spotlight here, which is just going to fill in this section. Yeah, there's lots of ways you can go about doing this. So you can go 5 here, maybe make this 200 as well on this side, and just drop the brightness. So the brightness of this is 5, so let's drop it down to like 10, 30, 30, and then just rotate it till we get nice reflections in the angle. So here you can see we get the light going on there, but there it's not really showing on the top too much. So one option is I could make it longer, but I don't know how long it needs to be until it shows up there. Could be an angling thing, so you could even angle it more. Triangle it at different angles, maybe like there. Trying to get this light is a little bit tricky. Maybe you can add a separate light. Maybe you can duplicate this light and then just do the tag thing that we did for the floor. So, but only have the light affect this object and add that light in. And yeah, pretty much just, this is all just a tweaking fiasco, pretty much. Maybe if we rotate it up here, I do want more light here, so I'm going to go add in another one. And this is pretty much just a fill light. So here you can see it's kind of not really reflecting on our object too much. We just wanted to fill this up here. So we make this 10. And you can debate how far you want to go with that. But yeah, just tweaking again, 2.5, just making this logo on the Nivea thing a bit bigger. And ideally you set up some sort of instance, which also has the rotation controls in them, just so you can update one and then updates on all of them. But yeah, and then maybe this background's a little too saturated. Maybe drop that by 5%, 35, 35. This still looks a bit too saturated, but depends on how far I kind of want to go with the tweaking on that. And yeah, I know the logo on the side's missing, but you can just kind of do what I did with a flat thing on the top. And just trying to spend more time doing the things that's necessary and stuff that you guys might not know how to do. So if we go push this down a little bit, just adjusting it just so it touches the bottom. Cool. Now, here you can see how dark it is on the floor here, and here it's kind of a little brighter. That's partly the background light, but you can also add in a spotlight for the floor, which is what I do very often, just so that the floor where the product is also quite bright, which makes your eye focus on it. So here we can duplicate this one, just center it, and then just make sure it's focusing 90 degrees down. And then we'll have, let's just reload that. Then we'll have a spotlight on our actual floor here. And here you can see how much brighter it is. So we can, if you don't want it to be so wide, you can make it smaller, making this disk smaller. You can move it closer to the floor as well, like so. And then, yeah, pretty much that's it. If you want to, you can reduce the brightness a little bit. If it's too bright, you can make it a little bit brighter. And then you can kind of see how I ended up getting this. So the proportions on this one, it's a little bit wider and a little bit thinner on the top. But that's kind of all stuff you can try and tweak yourself. If I was going to tweak it really fast, I'll probably just do that. something like that. And yeah, that's pretty much how I did the whole Nivea scene. Just a lot of tweaking, moving stuff around, kind of trying to get the lights to where you want them to be. And then once you've got a nice balance with all your lights and stuff, then things start to look pretty good. So I never really showed how I would do this in Ies Light Studio, but let's just do that. Cool, now we got Ies Light Studio going. We can just add in a light on the side here. Boom. Here inside Cinema 4D, I'll go and make this brighter. So maybe 10, 15, that. And then here, duplicate, and then just add it on the other side here, if we can find it. And just try and get this light back in there. So then bring it down. And then just slowly like so. Pretty much. And then here you can even just add like a soft light to the top there, maybe make it less strong. Yeah, it's pretty much all just tweaking and balancing. So if we go back in here, boom, then even if, yeah, so here you can see the product again. It's a little too saturated and stuff, but that's all stuff I'll just spend a long time tweaking. So if you just keep playing around with your lights and stuff, just making sure, this is where things start to look less professional, is making sure these lights are nice and straight. Here you can see how it's like bending and warping. That's just because the geometry is a little bit too round. Just making sure they're all nice and straight and clean. Here you can see like the only thing I kind of didn't do as great is like the inconsistencies here and stuff like that. But in my case, it didn't really matter. So that's just stuff I'll tweak, and then your render and stuff will look more professional, just angling it a bit better, things like that. But this is pretty much how I got to the Nivea scene. If I had another hour of just tweaking and tweaking things around and stuff, then it would get a lot closer to this pretty much. So hopefully that helped. Hopefully you started to learn a little bit more about how to create and light your product scenes. And yeah, so hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe. And by the way, if you want a free training on how to master your skills and how to monetize your skills in 2020, I've put a link below on how to access that. It's just free training. So if you want to get that free training, just click the link below on how to master and monetize your skills in 2020. And I'll see you on the next one.